Jordan, and this is Yes, But Why podcast. Yeah.
Well, I'm always like, whenever people get fired up about like laws or rules, I go, guys, how many rules do you break in a day? Like, come on, get over it.
Seriously. Like
even on.
Like, I don't use my turn signal. I'm so sorry, everyone. There's not enough time. I'm already using my headlights. I don't know what more I can communicate with you people, but no, but I agree. We're all lawbreakers, that's like the next album I'm writing immediately.
We're all lawbreakers.
We're all lawbreakers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which just reminded me of something. Can I go down a quick rabbit hole? Have you ever heard of the show Cop Rock?
No.
Oh my gosh, I know you haven't, because you would be screaming with me.
Okay.
In a nutshell, please, everyone on Earth, YouTube Cop Rock. It was an 80s episodic, serious musical that I think was one season. And there's one clip that's so utterly amazing, I will watch it every day for the rest of my life and like bleed out of my eyes with joy. Long story short, it's like LA Law. No, that's too like highbrow. It's like Hill Street Blues / Law and Order meets not even Hamilton, but like a sassy musical. But nobody's like cheesing like they're in a musical. They're all dead serious, but full blown breaking into song. And that's all I have to say. So imagine something mega serious on Law and Order, and then they just start singing about it, and then no one bats an eye once that song is done, and they continue.
So it's like Law and Order meets Ex-Girlfriend?
Yes.
Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
Oh, I guess it is. Yes, but even I think that show, which I love, there's at least
it's a little too
thing
absurd.
where we're all like, we know there's a musical happening right now. Like there's a slight tongue-in-cheek going on, like where you kind of know that they're into their musical. This one is as if me and you right now, it's true, which I wish would happen, truly broke into a musical and then just continue with our life as if nothing amazing just happened.
I've always preferred that.
You know what? I wish that was how like real life was, but I just need you to promise me you're going to go look at that.
Oh, yeah.
It's called Let's Be Careful Out There is this video. And it's just a sergeant talking to his team, and it's so ridiculous, and instruments bust out of nowhere. And I'm like, I like run around in circles in my living room watching it because it gives me all life. And that's all I have to say.
Can you just find the one? Is it like on YouTube?
Yeah.
You just find like the one episode or one clip?
Well, all you need is that one scene, because it goes from scene into song. But if you didn't know it was called Cop Rock and there was like a music note next to it, you would not know until the guy starts belting, and it's just everything glorious that this world needs right now.
That sounds wonderful.
And that's my PSA for all of us.
I actually think that you're right that a lot of the comedy things like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend do that tongue-in-cheek, like, we get it, we're doing a comedy. Maybe too much. Like, it was like The Office started it, and now we're, like, way too far into breaking the fourth wall. Like, it's like, don't
so true.
Stop it. Quit looking at the camera. No one cares what you think in your head. Like, be the character.
Yeah. That's so interesting. And I have, whenever it comes down to The Office, so one quick thing about me, I'm currently like dating or trying to figure that shithole of a situation out by just being a woman person and walking around and being like, oh, I'm a woman person, and seeing who would like to match up and have spaghetti or whatever people do. And with that being said,
this sounds like a great dating
factor.
Who wants to have spaghetti? What a horrible first date food. Like, it's all over your face.
Unless you're an adorable dog and he's an adorable dog, this spaghetti date ain't going nowhere. That's so true.
Oh my God. You're like, so Troy, wow, where did you go to college?
You need me more cheese, and I'm just spraying Parmesan cheese everywhere.
The guy at the Italian restaurant knows you because you bring every date there. How's this one going, Missy? Oh, hello, date. I don't know why he was Indian somehow.
Or not. Yeah. And by the end, I looked like Stillwell from League of Their Own, like that little fat boy that's going up and down the aisle. I was like, la, la, la. Just like sauce all over my face.
I'm sorry. That was a rabbit hole.
I'm married.
So you're dating. Oh, you're married. Wait, you're married?
No, I'm so far from it. I'm just kidding. But by the end of that.
Oh right, God. Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you make it through, if you finish that first date, it's marriage.
There's rings at the end of our spaghetti bowls if we make it that far.
The whole restaurant staff is involved. Like they're all just hoping it's going to work out every time.
They're like, yeah, the enchanted things in Beauty and the Beast. Like, please, Missy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I ain't farting again. And they're like, all right, back to the scratch. No.
If this one girl falls in love, we can stop serving spaghetti.
And move the ravioli. She has us cursed.
I've been cursed. Oh, my God.
Oh, Lord.
So you're dating.
So I'm dating. Oh my Lord. And the deciding factor is like, I just like to test them and see if they like The Office. If they're like, what is that? I'm literally like, get out of this spaghetti restaurant. No.
Okay. If someone says, what is that to The Office, then like, you're actually speaking to a robot. Like that's what's happening.
Right, exactly. But there's some like Tinder people don't know a lot of things. They're like hunting rifles in my mom's casseroles. No, I don't know. But it's just like, if they don't even have that in their ballpark, I'm like, this won't work. That's like basic stuff. But then the like next level shit is when they're like, I prefer the British one. Then I'm like, yeah, boy, we gonna make babies. Anyway, because
you like the British one.
I agree that it's more, I'm like, yeah, that's like more sophisticated. And I'm going to finally bring this full circle, everyone, because I don't think they abuse the like talking heads, like the breaking fourth wall thing. They do it subtly enough that it's not like woo-doo-doo wacky town, which is all I have to say. So I think that that's like a differentiation between, you're right that The Office has taken us to a whole new level of like, we're just going to have so much fun being wacky to the camera, to the point where it's like, then just make that the whole show at this point.
It's like, that's why I used to hate Jimmy Fallon. Like in SNL back in the day, I was the number one like hater of that. Like and he is so popular, and now I like him. Now I feel like he finally he found a way to use his thing and make it work, right? But the live show, the high stakes, the show everybody in the goddamn world wants to be in, don't fuck that up, bro. Like, don't. I'm super sorry, but this is important. It's like I love Jenny Slate, but dropping the F-bomb on her first episode. Ooh.
Oh, which I watched. And I was like, no. Yeah, that
no,
was
they just paid $50,000 to the FCC is what happened. Because that's what happens when you swear. Exactly. Hope you got some cash. But I used to hate him because he would just break. And he would like look at the camera and I was like, fuck you, Jimmy. Do the scene. Real. Like it is like, a 2-minute fucking sketch. Yeah.
I know. Like, and when they genuinely break, you can sense that. And then that's when I think the audience truly loves it, because you're like, they literally cannot control themselves right now. And then you are like, gosh, they're trying so hard. That's like the actual fun. Yeah. But him just like being like a 9-year-old is like, that's cool. But no, we want to actually watch the sketch that someone just wrote. And there's other people in it with you. Yeah, I totally agree. And I could not agree more that I was like, F him. And now that he's doing the thing he is, I couldn't agree more. Talk about somebody finding their right thing. Of course, he gets to do it for mainstream television, but like finding the right way to utilize what his actual gifts are. It's being fun and cheesy and warm and doing takes to the camera, which I can relate to, but it's like it did not fly in that way. I agree.
Well, it's tough when you're 25 doing dad jokes. I mean, the guy was like an unmarried 25-year-old who probably did more cocaine than you've ever seen in your life. And he was doing dad jokes. And people are like, what's that guy about? But now he's older and married. And I don't know if he's married, actually. But he seems like he's married because he's been doing dad jokes. Like, he's dad-like. You know, like when he talks to the Roots even, he talks to them in this very avuncular kind of way. Like, it's all like, how you doing, guys? How's it going over? Like, it's not like he's talking to even people that are his same age, because they're younger than him, right? So it's like, he's like, what's it going? How is it? You know, he just is able to be. I actually have this theory that like we're all, and this is like a huge theory, but like that like we've all been so. In this theory, I believe in reincarnation, and in the reincarnation theory, we have been like aging throughout all the years, right? So if I've had a bunch of lives and I'm 35 in my overall age, when I was a little kid, people used to say, look at her, she's 7 going on 37. Because I would just be old. I would act like I was older and I would say things and people were like, oh, funny. And when I turned 37, I was like, yeah, this feels right. This is good. This is all right.
I couldn't. That's so true.
Yeah, but some people are like that. Like, there's old soul people, and then there's young people. There's like, you meet an 80-year-old, and you're like, that guy's 12. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that guy's making crazy jokes. Like Jimmy Fallon is 16, okay? But he's a 16-year-old who likes to do dad jokes, and it never fit until he was finally 40. Like, it was like, oh... Okay.
That is so true.
And that's like a weird, huge theory. Like I'm throwing out a lot there, but.
But I honestly feel like you've just peered into my soul and gave me some little affirmations. We're getting real now. Because I have been a character actor since I was like 7 years old. As in, everyone was aware, like, she'll never be Juliet, but you're going to be all those wacky nurses and whoever else helps her ass out. Like, I love
when they say that to you when you're 7.
Hey, you're never being Romeo. I mean,
You'll
Juliet.
never
or
be Juliet. Like, Jesus.
2018. That is a good rip. I'm gonna put on someone.
It's a terrible.
A young person I know.
Yeah.
But it's. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I do musical theater, and I teach it to kids. We'll get into that, I guess. But I've always been like the grandma for like decades now, or just like the crazy, mature, wacky older lady that's like, I love the pot roast, but and then everyone laughs and dies and moves on to the tab number. And so I've always been doing it, and now that I'm finally like getting older, I'm like getting those roles or getting to do those. And I'm like, I was meant for this years ago. You know what I mean?
So what was the stuff that you were performing when you were 7? Were you already in theater? Were your parents like got you in commercials and stuff?
Oh,
Did you have a stage mom?
No. God, no. So the area I'm from is very steel mill, very diverse, very all walks of life. The main thing we all have in common is we're all basically poor and loving it, poor and sassy. So no one's ever like, you should go follow your dream. They're like, if you're assing sweating, you did not earn no dollar today. So I never knew you could do art for a long time. Luckily, an English teacher in high school was like, he always seemed much more respected, and because he was like put together a little more, and I don't know what that means. But okay, it means he wore sweater vest, and we were like, what are those? And so he just seemed distinguished and like earnest. So he started plays. And my one friend, my freshman year, was like, want to do this thing with me after school? And I was like, spaghetti sauce all over my face. Like, yeah, sure. And so I showed up and accidentally auditioned for something. But I was like goofing and cutting up the whole time. I was just reliving this with a friend. And I got cast. And then I did like every play and musical, just because I was like, this is fun. It was like a thing like, oh, yeah, I should do this. But I still never knew that you can actually do that with your like real life. It's so weird. Nobody really knew how to push that for us in this part of Pittsburgh that I lived in, which was, again, like nobody went to college. I'm the first person to go to college in my family.
Oh.
And of course I choose theater, so they're still weeping. I'm kidding. My mom has no bar. She's like, they think because I like didn't get pregnant and like went to college, they're like, you're Julia Roberts. They think I've made it. They think I'm like the best thing in the world because I like tried something, and they came to every show and were like, wow. So I have not had to impress them in any way. They're just excited, like I'm alive and kicking, which is so. It's very unique, like in that way.
Do you have a lot of siblings?
I have one younger brother, and he is not artistic. Nobody else. I mean, he actually is one of the funniest people I know, and I would love for him to like ghostwrite stand up for me or help co-write. I don't know if that's like a thing I'm allowed to say, but now you all know.
Sure,
He's just his timing is so brilliant. Yeah, people do it.
You can do anything you want. There really is. I mean, other than steal someone else's joke word for word, but you can do anything else.
I'm into it then. Because he's...
Oh, there's a few other things. Hold on, wait. Before I tell you that's all you can't do. There's a few other things, but you don't... I don't believe you have a penis, so I feel like you're safe. I feel like you're safe.
True.
You can't do those things, so you're fine.
Right. Don't do the things the penises want to do.
or at least show them off. Apparently people love going, hey, did you know I had one of these? It's like, I am aware you're a male, yes. But,
like,
you know.
thank you. Keep them
These things occasionally go hand in hand with comedy. But so in my carte blanche of you being able to do whatever you want, just keep putting a few ground rules in there. But your brother can write anything. Yeah. My husband helps me write sketches for my sketch comedy show. Like when we go on road trips, he'll come up with ideas and he can't, like, his brain doesn't know how to like put them together, and he certainly doesn't know like scene structure or anything like that. You know, and I'll go like, okay, but is that the first beat or the second beat? He goes, I don't know what you're talking about, but this is the next thing that happens. And I'm like, okay. So
okay, the next thing.
Yeah, so sometimes when we're taking road trips, I just turn the voice recorder on in the car because I'm always driving. And then we start brainstorming ideas. I've written 3 or 4 sketches based on our collaborative ideas, and one of them won a contest. So, you know.
Wow!
So, like, realistically, you should totally write with your brother if he's game. And he doesn't have to do any of it, you know what I mean? Like, he just has to chat with you, and then it gets you going.
That's such a great point. Like, I cannot love collaboration more. If anything, I feel I'm not a person that can just sit down and be like, time to write my life hysterical novel musical. Like, I need other people to like, pump me up or cop rock it with me. That's my new term for it. I'm just... Let's cop rock this situation. No. Yeah, so that's exciting.
Watch out, there could be copyright all over there.
But thanks for the reminder. That's a good, and letting me off the hook. It's so weird how I act like there's this invisible guidebook, like
everybody does,
for the recently deceased. Remember from Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
Like, if only we had one for, like, how you should use your skill set. But I guess
but if
that's
I know anything about that movie, if I know anything about that movie and that book, it's not exactly a easy book to get through, which is how I feel the book of how to be an artist would be. It'd be like, wait, so what is this?
I'd like, so I draw a chalk outline of a door. Got it. That would be all I remember.
It's just you and chalk at like brick walls everywhere. That's the second date. First date, spaghetti. Second date, doors on a brick wall.
And
can you open it?
Knock on it, yes.
Oh, I don't know. If none of them open, we're not meant to be. Sorry, Troy.
Oh, my Lord. Yes. Watch out, alleyways of Pittsburgh. You're getting doored. Full of.
The new Banksy. Pittsburgh's Banksy. A series of doors have been drawn on walls. We don't know what it's about. Some say it's politically motivated.
Some say it's the desperate musings of the middle-aged. Who can tell? Anyway.
I'm pretty sure everything is the desperate musings of the middle-aged. Now that I'm
the
that
name
age,
of this era.
I'm like, yeah, that's what the world is. It's just whining 40-somethings.
Oh my gosh. What was the name? Obviously, I'm like throwing it back. I don't know why I'm in retro mode. What was that show called? 30-something, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
30-something. You know, I never watched it because I was a child.
I never watched it. Me too.
Probably
so
should have watched it when I was in my 30s.
People.
Yeah.
God, I need to watch that now.
That being said, even if you don't watch it, just go to the IMDb page. Literally everybody that was involved in that show, it has a hand in current day television. Like, they're all still working, and they're, like, big deal, big name people. One of the guys that was, like, one of the main actors on it is a director now, and he directed, like, most of Better Call Saul. So, like, I see his name all the time. So there's a lot. I may also be...
Oh, that's cool.
I watch a couple of shows on the regs, so maybe I'm thinking of another one. No, I think it's Better Call Saul. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of those shows where, like, at the time, it was definitely a who's who of who was going to be involved in stuff, you know. So
that's neat.
That's what's cool about it anyway. Yeah. I mean, I've thought about watching it, but the problem is that I'm 40 right now, and I just had a baby, so my baby's almost 2. He's a year and a half. So I'm not exactly in the same place they're at. You know what I mean? Like, it's a show about people in their 30s who just had kids. And so it's like 30-somethings who have kids. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to, like, I don't know, get it?
Relate.
Yeah.
But you know what?
I appreciate it. I'm glad we're the same age, by the way.
I know. That's so amazing. 39, I was like, I'm going to now be stressed out for 366 days because I used an additional day of my 38. And then it happened, and I was like, oh, my gosh, if anything, I feel more empowered, like I defeated the evil woman's curse of 40, and I still feel like the same spaghetti-headed goofball. So I'm like, okay, cool. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like,
we are who we are, right?
We are who, yeah, absolutely. And so if anything, I feel like even awesomer and more empowered. And I know that's something pathetic people say to themselves. So you do the math. I'm kidding. I feel super amazing and great. So I'm like, I wish I spent other energy that year instead of being like, I'm doomed.
I actually told people I was 40 before I was 40 because I like even numbers better.
Genius. That is amazing.
I was just like, it's easier. Plus 39 you're right. It feels like a precipice. Yes. Like, I'm like, I'd rather just be there. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like, no, I'm there. It's fine. It's done.
It's like, just get me to Ellis Island already. I'm on this water for too long.
Oh my God.
I know, that was really
You ever think about those people? No, I think about those people all the time. So I know that sounds crazy to like totally corroborate your thoughts so deeply, but like I think about the people on the boats so much because I'm like, who are those people? What people are like, yeah, I'll take that trip. What's up? Get me on that boat. What's that? Multiple months? I'll take it.
Seriously, like I whine on the Greyhound. Well, everyone does, but it's like, you're right. They must have known there was something cool over here. That's something that's so separated from our quote struggles. It's unbelievable. I can't even imagine. Yeah, what kept them occupied, what kept them motivated and inspired to be like, I will not jump off and just swim back. Like, I will just see this through. Yeah, that's a whole different.
I had a sketch idea that I never wrote of like the guy telling his family that he decided to do it because, you know, like back in the day, like there wasn't like a lady who was like, hey, I have an idea. Instead, it was all like, guess what, family? I've decided that we're going to get on a boat and then 6 months later, we're going to be in a whole new country and we're going to have to build our own house. Who's with me? Like that. I want to hear that conversation. Like either the like shutdown or the suggestions.
Like, if only Facebook Live was available then. That's what I would wanted to see live feed of.
Yeah. They're like, what? No. Wait, dude, Dublin is fine. Why are we leaving? We've got to go.
Yeah.
Off for some adventure. I'm about to start 4th grade, man. What do you mean? You've got to start a business. You're 8. So
let's go.
Why aren't you already making shoes for the village? Let's go. Like, what?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so true.
It's funny when you bring them. I'm like, especially, I just always think about, like, whenever somebody goes, like, people in America are crazy. And I go, yeah, who do you think started it? Like, who are the totally fine mentally people who were like, yep, leaving my life and going a long trip for an adventure? They're wild adventure people trying to get away from something. Or people that were forced to come. That's not a good starter crowd.
I know. That's a whole different aspect. It is.
No, but I mean, any of them, any level of them could have been forced. The wives, the children. Like I said, there's a guy who's all like, you know what? Let's go to America. And they're like, what? No. And they're like, too bad. I'm in charge because I'm a man. And you're like, oh, okay. I guess we're going.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, so ridiculous.
And we're like, yay, 4th of July. Well, and then the other aspect of the forced people to come here. We're like,
God,
there's fireworks in baseball.
Funny.
And they're like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. As if somehow there were fireworks on the day they signed it. They're like all signed a piece of paper and they're like, we're the best. And they didn't even know how to high five yet. So they just stood in the room and looked at each other for a little bit. And then they're like, all right, well, see you guys later. And they all left. That was what happened. Let's be honest.
I know, we
guys.
dramatize everything. And I doubt they knew what to do with their hands, let alone slap them together in like a pumped up kind of way.
They did whatever they did.
Fine.
Lord knows.
Fine, we'll write the documentary of the origin of the high five.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Oh.
That would be a funny documentary to take way too seriously.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
I'm sure somewhere it's been done in some aspect.
Maybe. I'll Google it after. It's like the handshake documentary or the high five documentary.
Yeah.
I was like writing it down to Google it right now. Not
Do
Google
it.
it right now. I'm going to give you my attention, but I'm going to write it down because I think it's funny.
No, write that down. Yes.
So you mentioned that you went to Chicago. Did you go to Chicago for college or did you go to Chicago for comedy?
I actually went for comedy. I think comedy and then just exploring beyond my borders of doodly-doo town here.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I went to Point Park University here in Pittsburgh, which has a big conservatory of performing arts for musical theater, which as I yapped earlier about, like, I wasn't exposed to arts until later in life. This is actually really fun. I went to our community college, yippee. And at the same time, there was like some tumultuous things happening in my own home life. Like it was just, I grew up in a rough town. And so I had a rough stepdad, classic humor pass. And so I was like staying with this family to just get myself. Yes. One must have dad issues if one must be successful in making one laugh. That's one strong path you can take. No, but I was staying with the family right as Whose Line Is It Anyway came out. And that was like one of our bonding things that was super fun. So that was like early 2000. And it was right when I was figuring out like my life. And so I went to our community college and one of the courses I took was improv. And it was definitely not what I know of it now, of improv, but it was like an exposure. And for me, it was just like, oh, I love Wayne Brady. I love what they're doing. That's fun. And it's making people I love laugh. That's fascinating. And that kind of was a small thing. And then I went to school and studied musical theater and acting and everyone that took it so seriously. And all my credits transferred to Point Park. And I was just exposed to so many awesome, wonderful, great things. And like Jewish people and gay people, this was still early 2000s because I'm like a 90s girl and my high school didn't wasn't that diverse in that respect. And I was like, I love this school. It was like all kinds of people, and I had the best time ever. And I always loved musicals. Like, I'm a singer and all that stuff. But I was still like, there's something missing. Friends of mine had started a sketch group, and I was like, what's that? It's so funny how I just truly didn't know the essentials because no one was here to really talk about it, like the basics of what a sketch is and all of those things. So I followed them to Chicago. They graduated a year before me, and then I was like, I'm going to just come see where you live. I've never thought about even visiting Chicago. I've heard of it, but I would never even go there. And so long story short, when I got there, I was like, my brain exploded, and I was just like, what? You can study just comedy? That's like a legit thing? And so I immediately moved there. And what did it was I saw one show in the Donnie Skybox of the Second City, and it was okay because that's like an incubator space where people are experimenting with things. And I was like, this is neat, but I wasn't like hooked. And they were like, stay for one more show. It was a musical, an improvised musical. And I was like, what? And it was me and 3 other people in the audience. I was 2 of them, my friends. And it was like a 3-person cast led by Mike Dakota on the keys. And they were like, give us a suggestion and we'll make up a musical. And I was like, toothpaste. And they did. And I was like screaming myself hoarse, living my best life. And it was like amazing to me. And so afterwards they were like, oh my gosh, hello, person that lost their mind during our 4-person in the audience show. And they're like, come across the street and get a drink with us. And so I was like, yes. And so I like picked their brains so much. And the one actor was Jeff Bouthiette, who's now the music director of Second City. Awesome. But at the time he was not. And Mike was initially. And so I immediately moved there, and Mike was head of like the Conservatory of Music, which was still newish. So this was now like 2006. And 2005 when I met them, and I moved there in 2006. And then Jeff and I worked on the same teams and through our time together and same things. Like he moved up to that position. So long story short, I moved there and dove right into like the musical improv, especially just blew my mind and were my people. And it was the perfect hybrid for me. And it was such an exploration going there and not knowing anything, but I was a trained actor. And so that was so helpful going in already knowing that stuff. A lot of, those instincts helped me survive with improv, but it was such a learning experience that it was incredible.
So you really got started in improv with musical improv. That's like usually people's last thing that they jump into because it's super scary. But for you, that was everything that you wanted all in one thing, huh? How did it work? What did you do?
Well, I technically started with the Improv Conservatory of Second City, which was just me going, but that's about a year and some, but I was the whole while just like stalking and loving musical improv. And I found musical improv so much easier for me because I think I've always been a singer like for years and years and years, like in church. And then I used to do like some bands and things like that. So music, I didn't realize was like, oh, it's like this lifeboat or this language that I can piece the structure together of other thought processes of improv. I was like, I already understand music. And so I'm able to just dive in strongly. And I understand in musicals, what I also think is stupid about musicals is because I think it's so hilarious. So getting to pair up, in a sense, you're spoofing musicals, but utilizing all the wonderful tools of it to like tell your mundane story. Like that's why I love cop rock, because I'm like, should not be a musical, but it is. So yay, praise the Lord, because it's all coming together and we all in 3-part harmony, honey. So I was like, and then I was able to learn improv better because of that, it is definitely an inverse of how people usually do it. But and anytime I meet a musician, especially a musical theater actor, and I'm in a partnership with, I'm 4 years into a partnership with a musical theater partner, and we do a monthly show. And we're always trying to, and he's also a musical theater actor, so we're always trying to recruit our professional actor friends to be like, you'd be so good at this. They panic.
Is that Baby
I'm like,
Grand?
Trust me. Baby Grand, yes. That is Baby Grand. Yep.
What's it like doing the show with just the two of you? It's just two of you in the whole show?
It is just two of us, and we do
That's
like
wild.
45 to an hour. Yeah.
Do you have a musician as well, or do you guys play the music?
We do have a musician. It rotates though, because that's one tough thing. There is not a large musical improv scene in Pittsburgh. We're pretty much, I would say, a consistent anchor, and we both also do it professionally, so we bring that vibe to it. So we have like 3 to 4 different pianists we rotate based on their availability. Because the biggest problem, I think there would be more musical improv here if we had more pianists, but that's our issue with being, I think, a mid-sized city. This so specific of a genre is just, it's still growing. It's not even that large nationally. I know most musical improvisers in America because there's only a weird handful of us, and we get to meet at festivals. There's always more each year, which when I got to Second City, it was still only like maybe 5 or 6 years into the program, and it's now even developed further since I've left and things like that. They've added more levels and stuff, and so it's kind of fun to be like, I was at the the second ever New York Music Improv Festival with my first musical partner. We were a faux rock band, and we would improvise an entire rock concert. And we had like 6 instruments. I was the lead singer. In my head, I was Freddie Mercury, but we would improvise the entire thing. So we studied a lot of rock to just simulate concerts, and we traveled a lot.
Did you play the guitars and everything yourself?
I was like the lead singer, but I would do auxiliary instruments too, like the triangle and shakers. Then I would try to find odd things to make the percussive noises. But no, I'm like a crazy front woman. But we all did harmonies. It was like so incredibly fun. What's an area I want to like kind of get back into too? But we had a lot of fun pushing that genre, and so we were called Reset List, and we would the premise would be, we'd be like, oh, we're not doing our regular set list because you love all of our songs, right? But we wouldn't be that dorky. We studied a lot of rock musicians to have their feel, their vibe, and just get people to, we'd be like, we wrote a whole album about parking called Not Here, Asshole. What's your favorite song on that album? So we really gave the audience a lot of license to like whatever. So whatever they say, like, my turn signal is broken, we'd be like, yup. And then we would just like rock out. We studied like verse, chorus, how to do it, like how to root it and how to really find the game of the song. It was one of the funnest projects ever.
That's so great.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I had a musical improv troupe years ago called Water Park, and it was 5 of us, and everyone but me played guitar. And so we just kept a guitar on the side of the stage, and whenever we were moved, one of them picked up the guitar and started playing music. So we didn't have a separate accompanist, and I had, like you said, like a bag of percussive instruments, like just, all the things. And I would litter them around the stage. And then when wherever I was, I'd just pick up the one that was closest to me. So when they started the guitar, I was like, great, what's near me? Maraca? Got it. Okay. And then I just helped. That. And so that's how we ended up doing it. It wasn't rock band. It was very folk music-y, sort of like, like pop folk, not like Peter, Paul and Mary or whatever, but certainly like, 2 girls and 3 guys singing, singing some sort of songs about, chicken pot pies or whatever, but with a guitar, an acoustic guitar. So yeah, that was a way we got around it, because we didn't know. We took a workshop. And then we're like, let's do it. But there was no one around that we knew that did it. There was only one. Like, there's one. Now there's a bunch. But when we first started, there was only girls. And in Austin, that's like the musical improv troupe. And it is all the women, a big handful of women in Austin that have been doing improv for many, many years. And then they connected over music. And they became the musical improv. And then everyone was just just like, well, they're handling it. We don't have to do it. And then we're like,
Right.
oh, wait, we could still though, right? And so we were together for about 5 years, but it's like any band, tough to keep the band all together.
Literally in that case, but yeah. No, I know, and I'm blown away that. So I've lived back in Pittsburgh for 5 years now, and I met Connor, is his name, through a mutual friend at, like, ironically, a 4th of July party, USA, and we were geeking out about, like, musicals. We just had, like, a chemistry, and even just, like, you know, blabbing back and forth and being, like, extremely flamboyant about everything and over the top, but sincere, and, like, laughing at each other's jokes, which was, like, just fun. And so we were like, let's just try it, and we've been together ever since. And so I'm like 5 foot, and he is like 6'6", and he's tall and thin and glamorous, and I'm like a pile of potatoes coming at you. But we're like,
that's what my marriage is. That's what my husband looks like, and I am the potatoes in that scenario. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I need to find.
So funny.
All right, I will have hope out there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it would be remiss. I should not tell you to date, if it's even possible, to date your fellow improviser. That's wrong. Don't do that. But
that's true, especially when his boyfriend. His boyfriend is one of my best friends too. So I instead have tried to ask them to. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. But I try. No, I'm kidding. I'm like, can you guys adopt me? So that's where I'm heading with that union.
You're like, what do you think about polyamory, but like instead of me having sex, I just come over and eat pizza occasionally? Is that seems
and you
right?
give me $5 for the movies? Is that cool?
Is that fine? I'll go to whatever movie you want as long as you pay for it.
Dad.
And then you buy the drinks. Come on.
Yeah.
Between spaghetti Tony and your new polyamorous relationship that we've just developed, you're having a great time in this podcast. You're dating well.
I'm like nailing 40, I think is what it boils down to.
You know, I never saw that movie, that Judd Apatow movie, This Is 40. And when I turned 40, I actually was like, I should see that. Maybe I'll get it. Because I was afraid I'd be like, what? But I'm like, okay, I'm an adult. I'm married and have children. They're not adults, but maybe I'll get it.
Right. Because you cannot watch it if you're 39. You'll be like, I won't understand. But then the second you turn 40, you go, I will now.
I get it.
Just kidding. I get it.
I've a flood of information, as if like on by the way, my birthday is July 5th, so like it's right after White Men Fireworks. Yeah, it's like woo, yay boats and signing parchment, yeah, blow shit up.
And your birthday,
and then it's my birthday, and I get like half used boxes of fireworks and like
used up sparklers,
cakes that are flag decorated, and I was like, that's not for me. You didn't buy that for me. That ain't
fair.
What's going on? I have a lot of red, white, and blue clothing. Just kidding.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I would have gone further into a third beat, but we're not talking about me. We're talking about you. But tell me, it must be wild to be in a musical improv duo, because it's such a, I don't know, it's like being in a band, you know, like how do you navigate, even an improv troupe, like even without the music, it's a tough relationship, you know, that you're having. How is the duo? Is it better to have fewer of you, or, I mean, are you yearning for, you're trying to get other musical actors involved. Do you guys try to get like guest performers to join you just to jazz it up, or?
Well, I think ways that that's all great questions. And so you're good at this.
Thank you.
I think that we've actually figured out different ways to challenge ourselves. It's so interesting and neat whenever I'm like, wow, what a real gift it is. I think we have so much fun exploring what each other finds fascinating. And even though we are now blessed, it'll actually, this Friday is 1 month that we, our 12th month in a row, our 1 year anniversary of a monthly show, which really helps us explore things more. So what we ended up starting to do is, not that it's not sketch, but we have more like focused and themed and concepted work. I think because we're just exploring things we like. For instance, we did a show. Our get for ourselves was we were going to spoof / push anything through our baby grand grinder of what is showcasing in the Pittsburgh cultural district. Since the theater we work at is the Arcade Comedy Theater, which is right in the heart of the Pittsburgh cultural district. And we have a pretty big theater scene here. So no matter what's going on, we decided to like use that as our own personal suggestion and then improvise a show based on that. So for instance, Wicked was on tour, the Broadway national tour. And now he is too. I'm obsessed with Golden Girls, always have been, always will be before it was cool. So we did a show called The Wicked Girls, where I was Glinda, but like Rose. But actually I looked like Rose, but I acted like Slutty Blanche. And then he was Elphaba, but acted like B. Arthur, like very using his man voice. And he has a big bushy mustache. So we did a whole show. It was like in their style, and we were in Miami, Oz. And it's so kitsch, but it's like, and it worked so freaking well because we get the genres really well. And so we were able to, and we commit really hard because we're that part of us that are actors, like and I think that's what makes the musical part work. We will go there emotionally. So sometimes we cry in shows, like it'll get serious, but always end up wackadoo because it's, or in that musical, like, man, all worked out, kind of like laughing at itself kind of way. Yeah. But so we've done so many inventive things. We've also musicalized. Are you familiar with the film Whatever Happened to Baby Jane?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. I don't know that I've seen it since I was young.
Yeah, it's like a cult favorite, especially by the gay community of, what's her face? I can't remember their names right this second. My brain is shutting down. Betty Davis. Joan Crawford.
Yeah.
So I played
that's
maniacal
the one.
Betty
No
Davis.
more wire hangers, right?
Well, that's Joan Crawford, and that's from Mommy Dearest. But Whatever Happened to Baby Jane is this again cult beloved film. It's so dramatic. Everyone, please watch this. It was the studios always beefed up the story that Joan and Betty were like arch enemies. And so they finally put them in the same film when they were in their 60s. And the film was like a psychodrama about Betty Davis was this child star who was then aging out of it. And while she was aging out of it, Joan became like a beloved film star in this movie. So they're both, and now their parents are dead. And they have to, and Joan Crawford was in a wheelchair because she was in a car accident, and so Betty's taking care of her. So they're basically these psychos, drama queens locked in the same mansion. And so we do a musical version of this.
Wow.
So it's like drama out the wazoo, throwback 1940 talk, but also so we've had fun, but that one's a little more structured, but we get a suggestion at the top to weave through it. So it's sometimes they're so specific, but we're finding the audiences that really love specific things or musical theater loving audiences. But then we'll do one like where we just play ourselves and we're kind of very like, not totally Will and Gracie, but kind of on that level of our banter as ourselves is really fun. So I think that's why the duo part works. We have like a vaudeville feel going, yet we do like modern musical things. Very different than the rock band project I did, but it really fulfills my musical theater love.
Yeah.
And brings out a fun crowd that is flamboyant. And even like, no matter who gets there, like it can be like an old dad who's like, I hate musicals. By the end, they are loving it because everyone likes music at the end of the day, you know. It's so fun. Thanks for letting me go off about that.
Convinced, you know what I mean? It's almost like any improv. Like, you ever talk to a person, like, before they go in and they're like, I don't know. Wait, you guys are really making it up? Maybe. We'll see. I'm going to test you. I'm going to give you something you can't make up. And you're like, okay.
Oh, gosh.
Good luck to And then that's
Right.
the guy at the end who's all like, that was amazing. I didn't know that. And then a guy in the row behind me told me Drew Carey does it. I love it. You're like, yeah.
You are the
great.
voice of America, and I'm loving it. Yes. You're totally right, though.
There's so much of that. I mean, even students. I used to be the conservatory director at the theater where I worked, and I would get the new students in, and the preconceived notions people have about improv are crazy. Like, when they're like, but I have to do this crazy thing? Like, no one's going to do that. Like, to the point where people were so concerned that people, like, when they came to an improv show at the theater where I currently do stuff at the Fallout Theater, they added a sign that says, don't talk to the performers. We promise we're not going to mess with you. So don't try to do anything to offset what's not going to happen, because people would be so nervous that they would be called on or like brought up on stage that they'd act
Why did
out.
I think that?
Yeah, no one wants you on stage. No one wants you. There's so many of us that want to be on stage.
Whose line? Yeah, exactly. Like, no, we do not want you up there. Like, we don't. And my biggest thing, even when I know it's like a different world than stand-up in a way, but like, if anything, I work my tail off the second I get out there to say hello, to get people to feel comfortable, because I'm like, I want you to have fun and be part of this adventure of we're all in this together making it up. So it's like, don't have the pressure that we're gonna like mess with you. But I have to admit, I'm such a go in the audience person, but I'm like a short round potato, so they're like, we love potatoes anyway, so it's welcoming. But I'm always so overly taking care of the audience in my brain. Like, I just want them to come and have a great, amazing time. Like, and actually, I think, to dig into some improv philosophy for a moment, the nature of I got your back, or like, I'm here to support you, support. Like, I feel that extension even into the audience. Like, I want them to feel, even beyond like the theater I've been trained in, where it's kind of like fourth wall, or this is what we've rehearsed, suck it up, peasant. That's what I say to my audience as a theater person. I'm kidding. But in the improv world, like, I'm like, you're going to have to sit here and believe everything with us. You're going to have to believe I'm wearing this big red gown and that I'm coming down this golden staircase because I said so. So if I'm asking you to like imagine with me, I want you to feel so welcome and at home, so that you're going to have a fun, like, imaginative time as well. And I feel like that's such a fun, beautiful part of improv. Like, it's like playing make-em-ups as a kid. I love that we don't ever have to lose that kid innocent vibe of trusting each other and then just believing magic with each other and laughing at our own, imagination together as a group, not just in your own room by yourself or with your one friend, but we can all be friends by the end of this time. And I honestly, that's the main reason why I'm still doing it. And I teach it to little kids now. I just started teaching a class at one of our casting agencies, just an improv for actor, but I'll kind of assess the group. I'm on my 5th round of it on like who signs up for it. And right now I just finished a session with a beautiful group of women aging from 29 to like 65, I think. And the common thread was they were like, we're nervous in our real life and just want to try something to help us feel confident. And I was like weeping the whole time. But I'm like, so us doing even just zip, zap, zop, they've never done it. Their minds are like, their faces and their hearts and their brains and their eyes were so cute, being like, look at us pointing at each other and saying a word that's nonsense and smiling. Like, it was so fun to watch them explore all these exercises that me and my friends, and I'm sure we've done a bazillion times. And to these people, like, it was just so freeing, and they look so playful. And I was like, yeah, we don't have to leave playful. And it was just a really fun. It was like a 3-week experience, but they're all like hungry for it now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you just had fun connecting with strangers. We didn't talk about recipes or what we do for a living or how much this is. We're just playing as humans.
It's funny, you were talking earlier about how you were like, oh yeah, I guess I can do it that way. Everyone's like that. Everyone
right.
is like, I've put up a wall for myself and this is the way my life is. And then, you know, those of us who happen to live outside of that particular box are always trying to let them know, like, no, you don't have to do that. Like, you don't have to, you know, like, because my mom taught me to be a strong woman who spoke up from the get-go. So I didn't know that was a thing everyone wasn't doing. Like, I'm just like loud and brash, and I will tell you what I think, but in a polite way. And then I'll smile and make a joke, and you'll be like, oh, she's fun. You know, like, but I'm not afraid of saying what I have to say. My mom you were talking about how when you were 7, you were performing. That's why I asked you, because when I was 7, I was performing at picket lines and protests with my mom. Like, she was super political.
That's amazing.
So she brought us with her. And we were just bored because we don't care about politics. I'm 7, you know? And so I'm doing a song and dance number for the line, like for the people holding signs, you know, or whatever they're chanting. I'm like turning it into something, you know, whatever it might be. Because I'm bored. I'm trying to play. You know what I mean? Like, but the fact that you don't have to let that go, that you can be playful and have a good time. And like when you mentioned that they were nervous, I was like, there's so many women out there that are nervous, and it kills me because I am just not nervous, you know, like, and I want to help them.
I totally agree. And it's so funny. I love that you brought that up. You're right. I did ask, I'm like, oh, I guess I can do that. And here's why. It's where I'm at artistically
we all have
right
walls
now,
around ourselves.
We do. But my wall I've been dying to do stand-up. I've dabbled in it, but it's still something I want to do. But I feel there's just some weird thing about me that it's probably the only area of my life. Because not even dating is now officially not even scaring me. Woohoo! I mean, I'm still a baby stepping into it, but I'm like, no, bitch, I'm gonna break this down. But for some reason,
Spaghetti date. Sorry.
Spaghetti. Yeah.
Sorry.
I love it. That will be our duo name, Spaghetti Date. Anyways, but so it's the one area, and when you just gave me a little bit of freedom, I felt more like motivated in it. And it's so, you're right. We all have our areas, but now that that's like a little revelation for me of like, I'm trying to get out of my head on that. So I guess you're right. And I'm like mega confident. When I was 7, I also was like making up musicals in my Catholic school in the freezer aisles. Like I used to have a tape recorder that I'd be like doing my own shows for hours. I just never knew you could do it as a career, which is another reason I love being in Pittsburgh. I've been a mouthpiece big time. I thought I was going to go to New York or LA. Who knows if I did, but I'm actually loving being here and being like, hey, these are things you can do. And people are like, it is? So I'm like spreading the good news of improv and the tools of it in a place that a lot of people aren't. And I'm like, you don't just have to go to a comedy theater to do it. Like I've been trying to additionally go into other facets of my life that I have connections to here, like my high school or my community that I was just saying is kind of deserted on that, and churches, or like I've done the Jewish community centers here, Girl Scouts. Like I've been doing workshops for so many different types of groups and bringing them together. And then I educate them on like, hey, this is a thing in all kinds of cities. Like, and I talk about Chicago or, you know, the different cities that anybody has great followings in right now. And people are like, wow. So I've really seen Pittsburgh grow. Of course, the arcade has been one of my greatest adventures here. I got here a month into there being a thing, and so that's how I got really close to Christy and then the other founders, because I was like, I'm so in this project of I actually did like all of their musical entertainment like the first year or two. They let me explore, and I was able to like bring in my own family and friends and a lot of connections I had here. So it was like a wonderful symphony of let's share each other's goods. And they're such a loving, they are on the track of literally being that representation of, hey, anyone's welcome, but also come in here and like, if you want to perform, let's work hard and like raise the bar. And 5 years, I've seen such a change in Pittsburgh. It's been so exciting, and it's just on the rise.
Yeah.
Improv's beautiful. Yeah, I'm like, everyone should do it.
Are
And
you
use it for whatever they want to.
teaching it now? Like you said, you're doing workshops all over. Is that like your job? Are you full-time teaching improv and theater?
Yes, it actually is right now. The one main source, so one of our biggest theaters in Pittsburgh is called the Pittsburgh CLO, formerly standing for Pittsburgh Civic Light Opera. And it's like the top theater that does, they do Broadway-esque level summer series. Like every city has like that big one. But they have a beautiful program where they have a staff of teachers that go into like inner city or urban neighborhoods or needed neighborhoods. And there's like a charter school plan here. And so we are one of the creative arts options for this charter school for kids that may never get to be exposed to different types of art. And so we bring like the musical theater thing, but we love to bring it in that like really, hey, here's how it's done as best as we can.
Yeah.
To their that's been my full-time job now for a year. And then I teach, awesome. They have a little professional academy. So I've been prophesizing to like actors, people that don't even realize that the tools that this can be. And then I've been giving it to people that just need communication skills, or not new, but just exposing them to like, here's a new way of thinking of things or looking at things or playing. So yeah, it's been very weird that I've pieced together a career and people pass my name around here, and I'm starting to finally formulate it into something. But yeah, it's been very neat that I feel like I've been filling in the gaps just amongst all my connections and sharing this fun with them. That's great.
It's fun when the world feels a little bit smaller because you've connected so many different people. And then you're like, wait, hey, everybody knows each other. Even when you were talking earlier about going to the musical improv festivals and like meeting all the people that do musical improv. And I was like, oh, it's so fun when the world gets a little smaller because of the, lens you're looking at it.
Oh, I love that. Yes, absolutely.
But it's good too that you're also empowering people to, take on, not only try something new, but also like let their guard down and have some play. I actually deeply feel that it is necessary in our world. Like, I just feel like people need to learn how to give and take, because there's a lot of, I want what I want, and if you disagree with that, you're my mortal enemy. And I feel like that's like the opposite of improv. Like you can't do improv that way, right? So if people take improv, then they have to let that guard down. Like my favorite part about improv is literally going off on a tangent that I would never have gone on. Like when somebody takes me somewhere and I'm like, I literally never would have thrown that on this stage, but I'll do it right now. I'll be there. I'll be in it.
Yes. So true. I'm like taking notes on you right now. That's such a great reminder. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's an adventure. And I'm like, it's like visceral relationships you're making in the moment with people. It's like, I'm going to go, hey, whatever the scenario is. And you're right. And when we go down this, if we're truly improvising together and you're like, boom, we're in the moment, connected, what unfolds is like ethereal and magic. It's like, dang, we just got to do that. And the whole room is with you. They're like, and that's why we're all addicted to it. Cause you're just like on the edge of your seat, imagining like you're in their brain, like you're living vicariously through it. So yeah, it's the most hyper in the moment process that is also fun and funny. So I'm like, this is like the best thing in the world. It's almost hard to find, for me, sometimes friendships with people that don't do it. Cause I'm like, I love running off on an adventure with people that want to dive into this stuff. And if you're closed off on a personal note, it's harder for me to be like, that's honestly why dating is annoying, because I'm like, if you don't want to do bits, and I'm not saying wacky vaudeville bits all day long, but if you don't want to just be exciting and like explore things, then okay, bye. I don't want to stare at a sports screen or like stare at my spaghetti.
It can be super hard to acknowledge really that most people in the world are like tightly wound in a way that it's hard to break through that thing. Like you're talking about people, you're like, I don't want to date these people. Like, you shouldn't be in a relationship with anybody that's not like has the same worldview or like wants to have the same lifestyle. I've been married for 7 years now, and I think the most important thing, like, people have all sorts of things. Oh, this is most important. As long as we agree on this, as long as we agree on that. I'm like, the thing you need to agree on is the life you want moving forward. Is making a lot of money important to you? What do you want to achieve in your like overarching life? And I know that's a huge question, but if you're getting married to a person, you have to be like, is running your, like, trucking business the most important thing to you, or what is the thing that you really want? And when you're doing improv, you get to talk to people that do have all sorts of different kinds of jobs, and you get to pretend to be all sorts of different people with different points of views. So you're able, I think, to more openly view and decide what you want out of life. Whereas most of us are doing like I feel like keeps coming up. We're doing what we feel like somebody told us we had to. We are living in the box we were told we were in, and that's where we're at, and we can't get out of it, and we think, well, this is it. And you're like, well, no, but you can literally do anything. I mean,
right.
Like, Greyhounds exist. You could move anywhere at any minute right now. Like, and people always have some reason where it's like, well, but I couldn't, but you could. But in the essence of like can and cannot, you can. You're not going to for various reasons, for whatever, but you could. Like, tomorrow I could just move to Seattle. Why? I don't know. But I could.
Exactly.
Like, and
you're right.
That
like,
freedom, like being able to do whatever you wanted, is something that people who do improv get to access. Whereas the rest of the damn hoi polloi, they're just caught in their little sad circles. That's why they watch football. Football is a game of winning little bits at a time. That's their life.
Yeah. Exactly. It's very upsetting when I'm like, you can have your own football, and maybe that football's you pretending to be a neurosurgeon who's also holding a rock concert, doing a brain surgery. I don't know. That's obviously a winning scene, but we don't have time to play it out. But you're right. It's like you can access adventure for yourself. And it's just like, it's upsetting when people forget that. Or I guess, and maybe that's one of the gifts that we're gifted, and from our own exposure to improv is now because you're an educator too, like we get to help open those doors. There we are with the chalk anyways, for people to go play. Nothing. And it's, you know what? And then it's like they'll have a different place for like football in their lives. They don't need that to live, but it's now like, oh, that is fun to watch, but not my identity or not my outlet for me getting to vicariously live out victory. Like, I can do it. And I love that we're having this conversation because it does sound dramatic, but it really is the gateway to you can actually live out those fun things. Because watching any of these sports or even watching awards shows, and the way our world like soaks up these mainstream big events or things, and everyone's like live tweeting it, and everyone's so involved in it, and it's because we're just dying for these shared experiences. And a big revelation I had recently was, because of course I live in a smaller town, definitely not a small town, but it's not one of the major cities. It's a mid-sized city, but I get like upset or anxious because I'm not in one of the others. But my perplexity is like, but I enjoy being here. My mom's here. Like, my best friends in the world are here. Like, I love the theater I found. I literally love my town. I wish there was more paid work, like more television and things, but things are moving here. But, it's never going to be LA. It's never going to be New York. But but it is always going to be Pittsburgh. And if I'm put here, why wouldn't I live my full ass self and share all that I am, just as if I did live in one of those other towns? Because I'm here to serve my community. What do I bring to the table? I bring all the things we were just geeking out about that's true. And no, maybe I personally will not build my own second city, but isn't your own second city anywhere that you're living it full on out and sharing it with the people right around you, so that everyone doesn't move to these cities? We all are living our best cities in whatever town we're in.
Again, I really think it's just about like what kind of life do you want to live, because New York and LA, I mean, they're very different in the way that you have to like work your skills. But I mean, sometimes I fear that the joy we get out of improv has been wrung out of the quote unquote show business that they have to do. Like the business part of doing the work over there, it can be really tough. And if your motivation isn't in that initially, I think it's okay. Like I think you should it's very hard. What was I talking about? I was talking about it today with my hairdresser. Hilarious. The idea that there are actors who like, work out every day. Like when people say, I wish I was Beyonce. No, you fucking don't. She's eaten a pear today, and that's all she got to eat. But she's been on the treadmill for 8 hours. She like kissed her baby's face as it was taken down the hallway past her. Okay. And then she went into a recording studio and did vocal exercises. Like she has to work so hard to get what she's doing, to provide us, to give us the show that is not only, because it's 24/7 these days. You can't just be, Betty Davis and Joan Crawford. They could go home. They could do things where everyone didn't know what they did. We fucking know what Beyonce does every minute. There's photos of her food. There's photos of her house. There's photos of her bedspread. We don't need that. She doesn't need to give us that, but she does because she knows that helps in the business that she's developing, right? So she gave over her entire existence. She and Jay-Z both gave over their entire existences to be completely viewed entirely by the world. Everything they do gets judged and spoken about. And all they're doing every day is working 40 times as hard as any of us on any project. It's like, what are you doing? Are you like every minute of their lives has to be spent doing that. I mean, Beyonce is maybe a couple years younger than us. I want to say she's like 36, but she still needs to watch what she eats and work out every day so that she can do the dance numbers, so that she can sing up on stage. Like the effort that goes into the numbers she does on stage. And she's on tour like 6 to 7 months out of the year. It is a humongous thing, but it's a different kind of situation. And in New York, it's a lot of that, but also Broadway. Some of those people have been doing the same play every single night for like multiple years. Years. Like it's such a different, people say, I want to do this or I want to do that. But it's like, if you wanted to do it, you would be there because that's a certain style. That's a style of acting. That's a style of performance. That's a style of life. Like you've chosen to do it. And I don't want that. I like having some quiet times. I like the fact that like I had the baby and I've kind of taken some time off. I do this and I do a couple small stuff, but it's not like the world's crumbling and my agent's real mad that I'm not doing as many commercials. Like it's fine. Like,
it's like normal human pace.
Yeah. Not everybody can be Beyonce, and you should not try to push yourself to the idea that you could be. Or even my hairdresser and I were talking about Chris Pratt, how Chris Pratt was all like doughy and snuggable in Parks and Rec, and then they made the joke because he went and did the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but it was in the midst of the Parks and Rec television recording, and he comes back, the character comes back, and all of a sudden he's ripped, and they're like, oh my God, what happened to you? And he was like, I decided to stop drinking beer. And they were like, yeah, that's legit. Like, what? No.
Yeah.
Like,
I know.
But he had to do that. Like, that man was like, in order to move my career from this television show, which is lovely and I'm doing great and I'm having a great time, but to move it to the next level for me, I need to go work out intensely hard and be in a physically laborious movie that will make me cash and cachet to do other things later. Like,
right.
But it's such a, like, that's a choice. That's a crazy thing that he did that lots of people do. And it's like, yeah, that's not, I'm happy you're doing it. I'd love to help you. Every time I see cool people out there, I'm like, maybe I'll write some stuff that'll help that crowd, or maybe I'll try to work on this project, or meet this person, or teach a workshop for that people. Like, everybody's going to find their own path, and I feel like there's a long line of regret that people have where they're like, I wish I could have done this. And I really think, like in improv, you do what you are going to do. Like, you are yourself, and you can't help being yourself. And the decisions that you made to put you in the place that you're at right now were the right ones because you made them.
Right. Exactly. And it's like when you look back, not even look back, maybe that was a running theme when I was doing that 39 thing. And I'm like, what's my legacy? This is the other thing that I need to remember from improv. I'm like, better figure it out now for 50 years from now. But is like, you know how someone gives you a suggestion or your scene partner gives you a gift, you open it and vice versa, and you're sitting there building together and you go on this crazy adventure. Just even that moment of like, whatever gift I'm given in the moment, go with it too. So with that being said, I'm starting to also let myself off the hook of, well, I guess I live in Pittsburgh for eternity doing this same exact thing forever. It's so weird how older me and woman me has to keep talking the stuff out of my brain of, you don't have to have X, Y, or Z at age X, Y, or Z. Just like in a scene, just like in this work, who knows what opportunity can come up? And when you yes and it, who knows what's behind that?
Thanks for listening to Yes But Why Podcast. Check out all our episodes on yesbutwhypodcast.com or check out all the content on our network, HC Universal, at hcuniversalnetwork.com.